Yes, YouTube. I hope that you are good. So we're coming straight back into it today, and we're going to be covering 100 content ideas. And this is not just about putting out bits of content, which is going to be all over the place and not really getting much engagement. What I'm basically doing is a walkthrough on how you can basically create 100 niche content ideas. So obviously, as we've spoke about many times on different other episodes, the importance of having a niche in terms of actually looking at social media engagement, the algorithm, getting more interactions, getting more engagement, getting more likes, getting more shares. And then if you go in line with the algorithm, you're then going to get to a point where you're actually being pushed to the right type of people. So we've obviously got a clear understanding of that. And obviously that has been a previous YouTube video where I've really tried to hit home the importance of having a niche, because if not, you're creating content which is very open, it's very aimless, and we're going to be a little bit all over the place. And that's obviously not what we want in any way, shape, or form. So what I've basically put together is a bit of a diagram for you, which explains how you can look at a creative mind map associated with using a niche primary problem, a niche secondary problem, alongside hyper-focused niche problems. So as an initial starting point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down what I actually mean by this, because I think this is really, really important. So when we're basically looking at a primary problem, right, what this basically is what is their number one area? What is the number one single area that your niche and your offer is going to find a solution for? What is the number one area where they are in complete and utter pain over that? So, what I've basically put down here, as you can kind of see in the screen, is I put down fat loss, because fat loss is going to be, without question, one of the biggest kind of pain points and problems that most niches out there are going to have. So, we've got to really think about fat loss as a primary one. So, the primary problem is going to be fat loss, as the example that I've put down on here. Right, then we're basically coming into a second one. Again, I've been very, very, very generic. Please do not copy this, because it is very, very generic. You've obviously got fat loss, muscle gain, and then the mindset of something else in a minute. So, for example, when we've basically got this now, I've got number two, which is basically looking at muscle gain. So we know that, right, I need to be creating content around my niche associated with fat loss. I need to be creating content around muscle gain. And then finally, we're coming down into actual mindset as well, right? So I've done this as very, very, very basic. Please do not copy this, because this would be quite a basic offer. It would work, but make it specific to you and your niche and what you're really passionate about as well. So what we've basically got to do as a first starting point is really kind of isolate, right? Look, when we're looking at fat loss, right, before you even think about creating content, before you do anything in any way, shape, or form, what are you actually really trying to hit home with this, right? What are we actually kind of looking for? So what I basically do from there is I've got fat loss, and then I expand in and go, right, what are the main things that people are going to be searching when it comes to fat loss? In reality, what is the number one thing that when someone thinks about fat loss, what are they going to be thinking as soon as it comes to the head, right? So number one, we've got weight loss, right? Number two, we've got fat burning. Number three, we've got a calorie deficit. We've then got body fat reduction. We've got lean muscle gain, high protein diets, fat loss diets, and then obviously losing belly fat. So what I need you to basically do is, when you're starting to create your style of content, is really put yourself in your actual niche's shoes and really get to a point of thinking, right, look, how can I make this as simple as humanly possible? So when we're basically going to there, it's like, right, sweet, we've got number one primary problem, we've got number two, we've got number three. From that point, what are people thinking? All right. What are people thinking when they are obviously talking about and articulating it with that one? What they're thinking about when it comes to the secondary problem, and then finally what they're thinking there. So it's pretty much pointless coming in and creating content that people aren't actually thinking about, because if they're not thinking about it, they won't be able to relate to it, and they're not going to get interactions and engagement off the back of it. So we've got to really put ourselves into the minds of the actual people. So rather than just coming in, for example, and you've got, let's just say, a little stick man here, you've got a head, you've got arms, rather than going, right, I'm just going to look at this person as a bit of a general tone, what I want you to basically do is really think about, right, what's going on inside this niche's head. When they're thinking about that pain point, what is it really, really kind of get hit home, and what's going to really, really kind of focus on what they're obviously going to be searching and what they're looking for? Because that is basically what making money is, guys. It's basically finding the gap that you are solving a problem for someone. If you do that and you scale it, you're going to make a lot of money. So what I've basically done here is, when we've got fat loss, so straight away, even before looking at actual content ideas, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 overall kind of areas now. So this is not pieces of content, but I've got 8 different sectors that I can start diving into. So what we've basically got at this next point is looking at the keyword association. So all we basically do is, right, when we're looking at fat loss, we've then got fat burning, right? What is the keyword that people are going to be thinking about at that point, right? What is the key pain point? And then most importantly, how can I actually come in and give a solution to that problem? So off the back of that, for example, what I then want you to do is that is an overview, a keyword association, a pain point association, then a solution. Think about what type of personal experience or story have you had within fat burning? That's one piece of content. Right. Then from that point, what type of client experience or story have you had where you found a solution that with a client? That's another one as a piece of evidence. And then from that point, based on what you're speaking about, you've got a niche problem. So straight away, just by coming in and going fat loss into fat burning, what type of experience have I had that with myself? What type of client experience? What type of story? So all we're basically looking at here is that's 3 pieces of content that we can create just around one tiny little topic there as a starting point. So when we're basically looking to then times that by 8, so we've got 8, 16, we've got 24. Do you know what I mean? We're starting to really expand out into loads of different areas, but we're always coming back to what is that niche specific primary problem, because that is where we're obviously going to be getting the best results for people, guys. So as a little bit of a step-by-step walkthrough, what I'm going to kind of do is I'm going to zoom in on this. So number 1, for example, we have got weight loss. So when it comes to weight loss, all I'm going to do from that point is really think about, right, what's a key word associated with kind of weight loss? And it's going to be very similar to what you've got there. So it's going to be overeating, it's going to be weighing scales, it's going to be low body fat, low confidence. It's going to be feeling fat, feeling kind of overwhelmed with diet. From that point, right, what is the pain associated, and then what is the actual solution? So all we're going to do is we're going to tick that box, and we've got all these different ideas. And what I basically want you to do is I want you to do this for your offer, because it will give you a foundation of content that you can maintain consistent messaging, right? So what we've basically got to take into account when it comes to, let's just say, I'm just going to draw a person who's really happy here. They're happy and smiley. If we want someone to trust you, what we basically want is trust. It's going to come from pain. It's going to come from solutions. It's going to come from stories. So this is about you. So this is not about just general stuff. What experience have you had in there? And then obviously from that point, you've got the main one, which obviously needs to be doing, and that is obviously looking at evidence, right? So if we can create a content strategy which is aligned to a main primary problem for that niche, alongside coming in and talking about it openly with authenticity, articulating their pain so they understand and trust you because you've got authority in that sector in education. You're then going to give them a little bit of few solutions. You're then going to use your own stories in that area and provide evidence. That literally just goes completely and utterly in line with making this person really, really happy. If that person is happy and if that person is starting to trust you, they're going to get to a point of thinking, actually, I really want to find out more about what this person is delivering. So when we went back onto the previous video that I did on content and niche association, and in terms of the algorithm, that's the point where someone might go, actually, I might interact with that story. Actually, I might actually download that lead magnet. Well, I'll tell you what, I actually just might message this person because I want to book a call with them, right? But we're never going to get that type of response unless we are really being hyper specific. So what I basically want you to imagine is, like, on the outskirts of this, when we're coming in from the central, so the outer layer here, that is going to basically be the pillar, right? From that point in, we're then coming another layer in. That is going to be associated with the next phase. Then we're coming in a little bit more specific. This is where we're coming into keyword search. Then from that point, we're going to go pain point association. And then we've obviously got the solutions in the middle, right? As I've said many times in different videos before, we need to be finding the deep roots. We really need to be articulating and talking about the type of stuff that this niche obviously wants to achieve and the type of pain that they're going in. So if I zoom out and move down into a secondary problem, it's exactly the same. So what we've basically got is we've got muscle gain as the first starting point. So before I even think about a piece of content, what are people thinking about when they're thinking about muscle gain, right? When someone says muscle gain, what is my audience thinking about? It's going to be hypertrophy, it's going to be strength training, it's going to be lean muscle, it's going to be progressive overload, resistance training, muscle growth, protein targets, and weight, and for example, weightlifting as general stuff. You do the exact same process again, where you skim out and you go into keyword, you then go into pain point, and then you go into obviously a solution. And exactly the same process again, guys, is like out of. But let's just put a 1 on the outside of every single one of these. So imagine this is one piece of content that we've created off the back of simply just doing a really simple exercise like this. But what we then do is we turn around and go, right, I know that's a key piece of content my audience want to see, but how can I be as relatable as possible and talk about an experience that I've actually been through? Because what you've got to take into account is the fact that your audience will be looking at you like a superhero. Right? They'll be looking at you because you are in control. You are obviously probably going to be in shape. You're talking about the right things and everything else and everything else in there. But what that's not doing is that's not building trust, right? Yeah, you've got authority. Yeah, you've got everything else, but vulnerability. So this is about basically where we are coming in, and we're going to talk about basically what we're going to be doing in terms of type of stuff that we've experienced before, right? So vulnerability and trust is going to come down to what your story is. And if we look at social media and the algorithm and everything else on that side now, stories are the single most important thing that you need to be focusing on, alongside how can you relate your story to the actual pain that someone is going through. Because if someone can connect to your story, and let's just say, for example, you imagine that someone's climbing a mountain, right? We've got a massive mountain up here, and that's a terrible mountain. Sorry, we've got a massive mountain up there, and we've got here. You're at the top, so you're all happy. You're all sunshine and rainbows. But then you've got your niche, which is down here, looking up at you and thinking, how on earth have you achieved that? How on earth have you overcome that? And basically, all we're trying to do is we're trying to create this space here, and that space there is the solution, right? And the solution is going to be you, right? If you work with me, you are going to get this type of result, right? I know that because I've been through this process myself. I know that because I have got a client experience and story where I can back it up, and I also can give you some easy, straightforward advice on how you can improve that situation straight away. So but the main thing is when you're starting to come back onto this, guys, is you sometimes start to stem away, right? We need to make sure that we've got consistent messaging at all times. So, for example, if I went into the final one as an example, if we've got growth mindset as a starting point, so sorry, I've just said a little one there already. But if we've got, right, do you struggle with your mindset? Right, I'm going to sit and think, what is it that my niche actually really thinks about when it comes to mindset? So it's going to be, do they have a growth mindset? Do they actually have positive thinking? Do they have mental resilience? Do they have self discipline? Do they have mindfulness? Do they have goal setting? Do they have self awareness? Do they have motivation? Right. So you do the exact same thing again: keyword search, pain point association, and then and the solution, and exactly the same process. So, for example, when you've got a personal experience associated with positive thinking, there, right, all you then do from that point is you look back and think, actually, where were a point in my life where I weren't really that positive? Oh yeah, I remember when that happened, and I really struggled with my positive mindset, and it actually affected me in X, Y, and Z area, and this is what I did to overcome it. That's a story that you can tell to your audience, to your niche that you've been through. From that point, again, let's just go on to self-discipline. Let's just say, for example, you have a client who, when they first started, they had complete and utter zero dietary control in every way, shape, or form. They were all over the place. They were binge eating, but you've taken them through your amazing program, which guarantees results. And you've obviously got a great story off the back of that, right? So you've got a story which is going to back up the point that you are obviously talking about in here, right? So story with you, story with them, right? And then the easy part, which is what a lot of people do, right? A lot of people do this is obviously, let's just say you've got goal setting. So, for example, you may be in a position right now where you do not have any goals. You feel you're just going through the motions. You might be a yes man or a yes woman, and you feel like you're just in a kind of dead end situation. So this is what I'd recommend that you do to improve your goal setting structure, because if you have a better goal setting structure, what that will then do is that will give you a better growth mindset. You'll have more positive thinking. You'll have better mental resilience, better self-discipline, better mindfulness, better self-awareness, and better motivation, just from nailing those goals in the initial starting point, guys, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to basically zoom straight out, right? What we basically want, right, when it comes to content is we want to have trust and we want to have consistency. And that is going to come from creation. It's going to come from planning. It's going to come from the forward systems that you put in place. But what I basically want you to imagine now is everything is going to be based over a 12-month period, right? When you've basically got month 1 and then you've basically got month 12 there. So let's do that a bit deeper. Let's just say you've got month 1 here, and then you've got month 12 there. We want to make sure that this is consistent as hell throughout that process, right? Because if you come in, for example, and you've got another one here, which is you've got month 1, you've got month 12, but you are being like really, really consistent with your message in 1 minute. So you're consistent here, consistent there. And then suddenly out of nowhere, you suddenly start talking about something else for a period of time. And then you wait, oh, wait, I'm going to jump back into that because that's working for, oh, wait, I'm going to jump off it again, right? What we're basically doing here is we're making sure that when it comes to everything associated with your company, for example, on here, and as my example that I've put, people will know you for fat loss. People will know you for muscle gain. People will know you for mindset. That is the aim of the game, right? This here is basically the core foundation of everything that you need to do. So, for example, when I go down onto there, this here needs to be your offer, right? If people start to trust you as a person, your personal brand, based on the type of stories that you are creating with your personal experiences, you are backing it up with client experiences and stories, alongside providing value when it comes to niche pain, like you can see at the bottom, alongside the fact that people are really, really confident with what you're doing in terms of your actual offer, you are going to be in a 10 times better situation than what you could ever be in before, just by literally being consistent. You do not need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to content creation and scaling your business. All you need to be is at all time consistent with your message. So what I say to online coaches all the time, and my message, which if you watch my YouTubes a lot, you'll know that my message is do it right. Right? My message is do it right, and we will focus on systems. We will focus on strategies. We will focus on SOPs. So I've messed a bit of space there. We'll focus on SOPs. And underpinned within that, that is going to be as simple as the fact that the systems, the strategies, and the SOPs will allow you to get better at socials. It will allow you to get better at leads. And it will allow you to get better at sales, right? So I know basically for me to create impact to all you guys, and this is why I'm creating loads of helpful free value content for you, I need to be really, really, really consistent with my message of doing it right. I need to make sure that I am giving information associated with systems, strategies, and SOPs. And most importantly, I need to make sure that within my program, I am actually delivering on that so that when it comes to me creating content, I can talk about client experiences and stories with a lot of evidence to back up the fact that I've got a really, really consistent message, guys. So when you're looking at your company right now in terms of 100 niche content ideas, this stems from literally starting with 3 areas. What are the core 3 foundational areas of your program, which is going to basically allow you to then branch off into loads of different kind of pain points, different keyword associations, different experiences, to then finally come into this process, and you are going to be massively, heavily talking about, oh, that's not a highlighter, heavily talking about your personal experiences, your stories, your client experiences, your niche pain points. You get to that point, guys, and you are going to be consistent. You are going to be getting a response. You will be getting inbound interest. You will be getting downloads, and you will be moving in line with the algorithm. And that is obviously the place that we want to be, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please drop it a like. If you got any comments, please drop a comment. If you got any requests, I would love to build based on what people obviously want. And if you want to find out more information about what we do at the Coach Consultant, there's a link somewhere around my bio, guys. So I'll see you on the next video.